Hello and welcome back to the Pulse of Willie and Al. How you doing today, Al?
Willie, living the dream, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
Dude, my Thanksgiving was very good. Actually, to be honest, it really was non-existent. I looked at pictures of my family, missed them, and I had to work during that time because Turkey, they didn't steal any land from anyone, so uh, they don't
Good for
celebrate.
them. That's good.
Yeah, they don't celebrate that. Well, not from anyone that we don't have shared partners for that. So,
Sure, sure.
but yeah, so I really didn't do much, but I tried to have a nice dinner the weekend before with my wife's family. So what about you? How was yours?
No turkey, no turkey in Turkey. I see.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. Uh, it was good. I hung out by myself, and that was very intentional. So I made myself like my own little dinner, which I promptly ate at 12:30 at the start of the Lions game,
yeah.
and passed out for a good portion of the Cowboys game. So it
Well,
was clutch.
yeah, that's the way you got to do it. And
Yeah.
man, well, listen, we are back for our 27th episode of the Pulse. So today we are celebrating. Go ahead, Al. Tell them the title.
Well, it's our Thanksgiving hangover episode, man. Whew.
Yes,
Whew.
absolutely. We got a good one for you guys today. Listen, before we dive into some of the Week 12 NFL stories, I just want to remind you guys, don't forget to go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video, drop us a comment, let us know what you think. Make sure you answer the trivia question as well. Take a stab at that, and let us know what you think we could do better. So. Uh, all right, let's jump into these Sunday takeaways that we had. The first one that I wanted to mention, listen, this was painful for me to see, but just Jacksonville beating Houston. And listen, it's not that I'm anti-Jacksonville. It's just the way I feel like they got away with one. That ball just doinking off the crossbar at the end. That's brutal, man. Brutal. And it wasn't a small field goal, 58 yarder. So
Yeah,
it just man, that was really, really tough to see. And I was almost convinced that CJ Stroud can't find ways to lose. Like,
yeah, I agree. That was a weird game, and Jacksonville tried to like give this game away. They have this thing. It's right at the end of the first half. It's they have it on the one with 1 second left, and they can
yeah,
either go for a field goal or go. And I respect them trying to go for the kill.
yeah,
I do, but then they drew up like the weirdest, excuse my language, the weirdest fucking play possible,
yeah,
and so it just didn't work. But and then also too, there were some really weird calls in that game that I didn't necessarily love. But I'll give props to CJ Stroud as well. He hung in there, and Jacksonville was blitzing him all day, and
yeah.
he hung in there and made some good throws. So
I loved it. Even when he scored that touchdown to kind of draw close at the end there and he's kind of running through the end zone, you see it. It's like, man, like he's still pretty calm, but he's letting them know, like, yeah, guys, this isn't the Houston Texans that it used to be. I'm here. We can do this. And it just, I don't know. It's a new feeling for them.
yeah,
I'm very happy for their fan base. I'm happy for that organization. I love seeing them being able to have success. And we're looking at a division that could sneakily be one of the tougher divisions in football in years to come with Anthony Richardson being in there. We were thinking, okay, the Jaguars kind of have this on lock, and now we look at it. Derrick Henry's getting older. Will Levis, he's got he's a working project, but work in process. Work in progress. There we go. And geez, a really really tough one there. So
yeah,
but then you've also got with C.J. Stroud rising up, and then AR coming back. Like they're just gonna that division's gonna be loaded. By the way,
yeah,
before we jump into the next thing, I was gonna ask, did you see the quote from Alex Smith about Brady? Like,
yeah.
oh my goodness, man! Now, like, I was very happy because I I agree with him, and even though on statistically it's not true, I feel like I've seen some of the worst quarterbacking ever in my life from that division of football. Like besides Brady, right? They've had some
Yeah.
awful quarterbacks throughout the years that I just feel like it was six easy wins for them no matter what. And if you can get six wins in the division every year, like okay, maybe they drop one on an off year. That means you're going 5-1 in the division. You can definitely win three or four more games outside of the rest of the games that you have. So
Yeah, Miami was always the tough one, but
yep,
only when they went to Miami.
yeah,
Playing in Miami has always been a house of horrors for New England.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I love Tom Brady, but man, Alex Smith, woo,
He cooked him hard on that one. And listen, Alex Smith isn't a guy that really goes and tries to cook people, but he made this comment in front of Teddy Bruschi, Randy Moss, and Rex Ryan, which the Rex's face was priceless, man. It was so funny to see. I was dying when I saw that. I couldn't deal with it. But anyhow, another interesting surprise that we had, and I know this may not be a shocker to you, but for me it sure was. The Steelers went off for over 400 yards in their first game without Canada. Like, I'm sorry, Matt USA, Matt Canada. I mean, either one of them.
USA,
Yeah,
USA.
yeah, yeah. So they looked really good doing so. Like, yes, I know the score was 16-10, but look at the metrics. Like Najee Harris looked like a Pro Bowl running back. I mean, 99 yards,
Yeah,
6.6 yards per carry, and a touchdown, and he looked good, really good. So
yeah.
I don't know. What were your thoughts on this game?
It's weird because like if you just looked at this game, if you just did a quick glance at this game and you looked at the score and you're like, oh, Steelers playing like the Steelers again. But like if you kind of dive deeper into that, like they played well.
Yeah,
Like 400 yards, like the fact that they haven't done that all year is just insane.
they had
Like,
done it in like 48 games, something like that. It's
yeah.
crazy.
And like
uh,
Kenny Pickett, like, does Kenny Pickett things.
hmm
But like he at least threw the ball well.
Yeah,
Like he didn't cost them. You know what I mean? Like it could that game could have been a lot worse. But you know, he only took 2 sacks, didn't throw any interceptions, didn't fumble it. Like not much else you could have really asked for. You know what I mean? Like, and this Bengals team is reeling. You know,
yeah,
they have no Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? Like no T Higgins. Like
yeah. I mean,
not great.
Jalen Warren, I know he had the fumble. That's kind of uncharacteristic for him, but if we didn't expect it to trend in this way. Like, because if you look at the previous games that they had, Jalen Warren was looking like the better physical back and also explosive back in this backfield. Najee Harris, it seemed like, just took it like the wind right out of his sails. And I know they don't
Yeah.
they don't really care about that. They don't care about okay, this back's getting the touches, this one isn't, or at least they say that to the press. They seem to be get along pretty well, the two of them, but it looks like this is Najee's backfield the rest of the way. And like, I mean, I'm happy for him, man. Like, I know he was very frustrated with Matt Canada and very relieved, I think, that he's no longer with them. Not that he's out of a job, but just that like they have someone new in there that can drive this offense forward. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The thing that was weird was them splitting carries the way they did with Harrison Warren. And I am curious to see if that continues.
yeah,
Because honestly, that seemed to really work.
hmm
I mean, they ran for 153 yards, so you can't really fault them. Yeah, so I'm just curious going forward to see if that continues to be a trend or if that was just a weird one off.
yeah. Well, and one that is not a one-off. Turns out it's a two-off. Is Frank Reich got fired? So
Yeah,
you were saying he set an NFL record? Is that right?
yeah. He's the first coach to ever be fired in consecutive seasons. That takes some talent, man.
Yeah.
That's kudos to
Oh,
him.
like I don't know. Just looking at this from the outside, and it seems like this is a job that just doesn't seem the least bit attractive to anybody. And I know they're going to obviously hire a coach and so on and so forth, but they don't have a first round pick next year. Like this offensive line needs a lot of work. Yeah, they've got Okonu on the at tackle, but they've got a lot of issues on this team. I don't think their skill positions, like the talent level at their skill positions, is good.
Yeah, and I remember telling you at the time too when they made that trade to get the number one pick that that's dumb because like cool you're gonna have a quarterback but he's gonna have nobody to throw it to,
Yeah.
and like that turns out that is the case. Like, uh, and now they're gonna get the number one pick, but it's gonna go to the Bears, and like that's a trade like that's gonna set this team back another 5 years. Like, that's just not good, man. And like Frank Reich, like not a great coach, a great coordinator, not a great coach,
Yeah,
and that's okay.
that's a
Like,
tough thing. Like you never want to see someone lose their job, and he doesn't seem like a guy that's a jerk or anything like that. So I kind of feel bad for him
nah,
losing the job. But it's based on success. You have to win in this league, and they've won once. So
yeah,
it's just not. I mean, it's not good. And actually, fun fact, they beat the Texans. Like I don't even know how
yeah,
that's possible, but
yeah,
that's like them winning the Super Bowl. So
for real. Jesus Christ.
yeah. Well, listen, let's dive into this Week 13 matchup. I know you and I have talked about this game for weeks. We are finally here. I know, like, in almost back to back weeks, right? It skipped a week, but we had Kansas City and Philly, which was just an awesome matchup to see, like, a Super Bowl rematch. Even the game between Buffalo and Philly was a high scoring game, very interesting. But now we get San Francisco at Philly, and this is the game we really want to see. San Francisco, they're getting 3 points. The over under is 46 and a half. Some of the injuries, I'll just run through these real quick. Lane Johnson, he was inactive versus the Bills. He's questionable. That's going to have a big impact on this game. But also Fletcher Cox, Zach Cunningham, they're both questionable as well. I mean, this is a definite preview of the NFC game, like championship game. If anyone was putting their money down, they're putting it on these two teams. So, what do
Yeah.
you see as like the big storylines in this game?
Um, can Philly just play well in the first half? I think that's all we're asking for. Like, they uh they have set a record for this. The game against the Bills was their fourth straight comeback victory, which is great, you know. But like they're gonna do it against a defense that like you can't afford to get down 10-0, 13-0 against a defense like this. Like they're gonna. I just if they I don't Philly has to play well in the first half, or else it's going to be a long game
Yeah.
because they cannot afford to keep doing this.
Hmm.
Like, because Lady Luck's going to run out at some point on them, and San Francisco is going to punch you in the mouth. Like, respectfully, like the Bills, not a great defense. So you know what I mean. That comeback made sense. Also, the Eagles, the refs definitely in that first half against the calling 10 penalties on Buffalo was just insane. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah, Philly has to play well in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I just think there's massive implications. If Philly wins this game, the road definitely goes through Philadelphia, and I think they know that, right? Like, they want to make sure it's going to just extend that lead that they're going to have. They will have only lost one game. San Francisco at that point will have lost what, four? And I feel like it kind of puts them in a pressure position to be able to, have to keep chugging forward. But if they lose, listen, there's a chance of it going through San Francisco. And I know Philly needs to lose again in order for that to happen. But look at, like, and we'll get into it a little bit later, kind of some of the games that they're going to have going forward. But I just, I don't know. Like, looking back, like you had mentioned it about the game with Buffalo, it's just not sustainable to win that way.
No,
It's a great story. And listen, Hurts shows that no matter what the odds are, he can get it done. I mean, the 5 touchdowns, including the game winner. I mean, he's on a mission this year, man. Like he's a definite MVP frontrunner for me. I just I don't know if he can continue to do that week in and week out. Like he needs a break at some point, and maybe he's got it in his head that like, listen, I'll take a break in February, right? But
yeah.
I don't know. Like, do you see this team getting beat?
I think they're very beatable. I think they've been beatable all season. The thing is this team has been together for a long time, and this team knows how to win. And I know that's like a funny thing to say, but like when they that Super Bowl run last year, that experience is invaluable. Like that taught them how to
Yeah.
win as a team, how to overcome adversity, and they're one of the best coach teams in the league. They have the most talent in the league. They have a really good offensive line, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, like good receivers. Like
They got
they're
everything.
just a juggernaut right
Yeah, they're
now.
coached
Yeah,
really well too. I mean, that's the other
yeah,
thing. And I love these quotes from Sirianni in the locker room after the games, dude. Like he's in the tunnel going in and like just yelling. It's he is he's hysterical to listen to. He really is. He's one of the guys, man.
yeah. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, he Nick Sirianni is never not. Him and Dan Campbell are the two funniest coaches in the league
Yeah.
with some of their speeches.
Maybe Mike
Oh
McDaniel
man.
too. Like he's in
Oh
there
yeah, yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
he's
Yeah, that's true.
he's wild some of the stuff. Well, let me ask you, like, how because San Francisco isn't devoid of talent. They have a plethora
No,
of it as well. How do they neutralize this team? Like, how do they figure out how to neutralize Jalen Hurts or the Eagles, any of that?
they they have to keep that offense off the field, and I know that sounds so. That's that's so such a simple plan, but like you have to minimize Jalen Hurts' time on the field. You have to because Philly, what they are good at is they are good at putting together 7, 8 minute drives. And you have to, and honestly, the other thing too, you have to get them in third and long situations. If it's 3rd and 1, you know what play's coming.
Yeah.
You can't stop it. Like you have to make sure that on if you get on third down, it has to be 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. You know what I mean? Like it has to be just enough where they're gonna have to throw it,
Hmm.
and that's and even then, I'm not sure there's anybody on that team that can catch Jalen Hurts if he decides to take off. I mean,
Yeah.
Bosa's a freak, Warner's a freak. Like I get it, but like Hurts just puts the moves on guys, and he's gone.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to take you back a little bit. We're going to go back now. I know we're in what week 13 now,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to take you all the way back to week 6. So the game that
Okay.
they lost to the Jets, and the Jets were able to put some pressure on him. He was only sacked twice and hit 4 times, but it wasn't so much him getting hit and sacked. It was that fear that they instilled in him. It's the pressure that they brought every single time. And that's what San Francisco is going to need to do to them in order to be able to they've got to force him into making bad decisions. Now, he threw 3 picks that game. So, people could say, "Oh, he only got sacked twice, hit 4 times." You throw 3 picks, like you're nervous. You're making mistakes out there, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's what San Francisco is going to have to find out if they can do that. And Lane Johnson being questionable, well, that makes things a lot easier, right? If he's not there, they're going to be bringing the heat from so many different angles. They've got playmakers all over that defense. I mean, I don't know. Uh, it's going
This
to
is
be really tough for Philly if he's not there because they have so
yeah.
many playmakers on that defense that they are going to be bringing pressure from beginning of the game to the end. I mean, Jalen Hurts is going to be running all game.
Yeah, and it seems like this is just a game that it's simply put, it's the best offense against the best defense.
Hmm.
Who's gonna win? And also too with San Francisco though, like don't slouch on them offensively. They kind of hit this lull a few weeks back where they lost some games, and you're like, man, maybe Brock Purdy they finally figured him out, and like Brock Purdy just had a little slump as every quarterback that I've ever watched play does,
Yeah.
and he's back and he's now just crushing it again, and yeah, I think this is. I'm very interested to see how this game's going to go, and I think this has some weird shootout potential
It
when it's all said and
definitely
done.
does. My
Yeah,
big thing is when I look at San Francisco's defense. Listen, like you were right. They had like those 3 games. Brock Purdy looked human, and all of a sudden he's back now, right? Like he's he's back. His playmakers are healthy, all of that stuff. But
yeah,
their season looks a little lopsided when you look at the way that they've played. They've only given up more than 23 points once.
yeah.
Once, dude.
Yeah.
Week 2 to the Rams, that was it. Every other game, 17 or less. Every other game, 17
Yep.
points or less. And like you have a shot to win every single time. Like, let me break this down for you. The first 5 games that they had, they went undefeated, right? 13 sacks, almost 40 quarterback hits, and 9 picks. That's ridiculous on defense. That is
Yeah.
amazing. The next 3 games, and this was the 3 games that they lost, 5 sacks, 23 quarterback hits, and 3 picks. Now, the turnovers aren't there. The hits, yeah, they're kind of high and stuff, but they're not converting them into sacks, so it makes things a little more difficult. But also they had a lot of issues with the offense as well, not being able to put up points. So I don't put that all on the defense. But since that 3 game losing streak, they've had 15 sacks, and this is just 3 games, right? 15 sacks, 30 quarterback hits, and 4 picks. Like they are back on track. Randy Gregory, Chase Young, since they came on board, like this defense is cruising, cruising.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just hitting dudes left and right,
Yeah,
and yeah, I agree with you. I think that if Lane Johnson doesn't play, that is Hurts is going to have to get rid of that ball in under 2 seconds. Like
yeah.
he's going to have to, or else it's going to be Bosa and Warner just pinning their ears back, and Young as well pinning their ears back, and just yeah, boy,
You know,
it's
Bosa. Did you ever see the movie The Program?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
Latimer in there. That's who
yeah,
Bosa reminds. I think you lost your bonnet, baby. Like he's just,
yeah.
like he is ridiculous, man. He is so awesome. Now I don't think Bosa's on roids like he was or anything, but when I
Nah.
when I see him play, I'm just like, and he's so calm all the time. Like it's just like he's out there just having fun and yeah, like
Well,
okay.
there's that video of him mic'd up where he's talking about, man, I just want to hit the quarterback, man. It's harder than it looks. And then like and then like 2 seconds later he's a monster. And you're like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
So he's got
So
serial killer vibes there. Well, I'll tell you, like
well, yeah.
for me, like I think especially for this San Francisco team, when I look at it, it seems personal for them. It really does because of how they felt like they got screwed last year. And Purdy goes down early in the game, he gets hurt. You know, my biggest concern with as we talk about Purdy is I think he's capable, but I just don't trust him as much as I do Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, like it doesn't matter the defense. I'll run him out there against anybody. Purdy, I don't feel the same way about.
I trust Purdy enough. I trust him more than I would say
Mac
70% of the
Jones.
quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah.
Oh, I trust my 9-year-old niece more than I trust Mac Jones. Like,
Oh man, yeah. Especially, I'll tell you when you give him like Purdy reminds me of the kid that grew up wealthy and like his dad's got like a Lambo, a Ferrari, a Rolls Royce, a Bentley in the garage, and he's like, "Which one you want to take out?" And he's like, "All of them." I want to take
yeah.
all of them out at the same time. And that's what he's got, really, with like Kittle and Debo, Ayuk, CMC. Like, this team is stacked with playmakers, man. And they all know what this game means. All of them do.
Well, I
Mhm.
well, it's like we talked about a couple of weeks for the Philly KC game, that Philly had this game circled the moment the schedule came out,
Yeah.
and this
Yep.
is the same thing. And look at the results of that game.
Isn't it
Philly
funny how
Philly
hate
kind of
gets
gave them
directed
business.
in different ways? Like
Yeah,
it's like a triangle, right? Like you've got
yeah,
you've got Philly hating on Kansas City, but San Francisco hating on Philly because they're like, oh yeah, we got screwed. Everyone feels
yeah.
like they got screwed by somebody else. So I don't know. I've got to ask you if you're Kyle Shanahan, what are you telling your team to prepare for this game?
You have to play. First of all, you have to play smart against this team. You cannot afford to have dumb penalties.
Hmm.
B, you just can't afford to make mistakes.
Right.
And that's the thing, is like you can't afford to fuck up coverage on AJ Brown or Devonta Smith. You can't,
No.
because AJ Brown, they will both torch you.
Yeah.
They will. Like last week, it was Devonta Smith who torched, who was really stepped up big for Philly. Like, yeah, man. Like you have to play a perfect game against these guys.
Hmm.
You do, but Philly does shoot themselves in the foot, and if they get down big in the first half, like I don't know, man. I
I
don't
think
know.
turnovers
I
is going to
just
have a lot to do with this game, man. If they are able to turn the ball over, like if they can get Philly to turn the ball over, it could be a lot closer. But I don't know, man. I
and
just will.
Jalen Hurts does throw picks though. That's the thing. He has 10 interceptions on the season.
Yeah, he.
So he is prone to throwing them.
Yeah,
Like you have to take advantage when he throws those though. And you have
absolutely.
to put points off those turnovers.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention before we jump into like the scores for it and stuff in our predictions, like just looking forward, like the only tough challenge that I see for San Francisco is going to be Baltimore in a couple weeks, and they get that game at home, so it's not like they got to travel to the East Coast or anything like that. The rest of their schedule
Yeah.
is kind of cupcakey. I mean, I'm not like no game in the NFL is a cupcake game, but when you're as good as San Francisco, like you're going to have games that are going to feel that way. So I feel like if they can get over this hurdle, it's going to be pretty easy for them the rest of the way. Philly, though, dude, they go to Dallas next week and then to Seattle the following week. Then they get a little bit of reprieve with 2 games against the Giants and one against Arizona. But this is a serious month long gauntlet for them. Like,
Yeah.
I know they're playing close in these games. I know they kind of got away with one the other day against Buffalo, but winning these games, especially the close ones, is what they need to be able to do in order to be able to succeed in the playoffs. I truly
I
believe that.
agree. And
So,
Philly seems like a team this year too that like would benefit the most from having that first round bye in the playoffs. Oh boy,
yeah,
they would really benefit from that.
definitely. They could rest guys up. I wanted to ask you something, like, because I think it adds another powerful dynamic to this team in Philly is they almost give the feeling like they're a team of destiny this year. And when players
Yeah.
believe that, it's almost as if like they have another superpower with them to bring onto the field. Like, listen, it's gonna work out no matter what because we're destined to get back to the Super Bowl and win it this year. So like,
Yeah, they do have some unfinished business. They
yeah,
do. And especially the way that Super Bowl ended for them last year. And it does, they do give me this weird little, because I'll always bring everything back to baseball. They do have this weird '04 Red Sox vibe to them where they like lost in heartbreaking fashion the year before.
yep,
They were like, hey, like we have a lot of unfinished business. We should have won last year. And the rest is history. And Philly has those weird vibes. So
yeah. Well, what do you have for a score this game? How do you have this ending up?
I think the 49ers are going to win this game. I think it's going to be
Ooh,
35-28.
wow. Okay, so it is really going to be high scoring for you.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I picked. Listen, I'm going Philly in this game. I have Philly winning 28-27. So I have it
Yeah.
being close as well, but man, I can't wait to watch this game. I think it's going to be absolutely epic from beginning to end. So I can't wait to be able to dive in on that.
And I love that it's a 4:25 game, East Coast time too, which means like I can just enjoy that game and still go to bed at a reasonable hour, which is
Yeah, yeah, you can watch the
it's
whole
the
thing,
dream.
not feel bad, maybe even have a beer with the game. Ooh, adult beverage. So, so all right. Well, let's jump into Major League Baseball free agency that we've got. One big thing that I saw, and I know last week you had mentioned maybe Sonny Gray would end up on my Braves, but it looks like the Cardinals ended up snagging him. Uh,
I was reading that it was down between the Cardinals and the Braves, which is hilarious.
okay.
Uh, Also, the fact that Sonny Gray got $75 million from the Cardinals is
And how many years was that?
three, which is even funnier. Like
Ooh.
that's
But
like
you
the
said
last big contract he's going to get.
But you said that was what was going to happen, right? Like him finishing
Yeah,
second in Cy Young was gonna end up reaping benefits for him, and it looks like it did. So
sure was.
yeah,
Sure was.
what is?
Yeah, I still, that's insane. But
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I'm hoping the Braves are able to figure it out. I know they signed who was it, Reynaldo Lopez, and I've heard rumors of them trying to convert him in back into a starter or into a starter. Like I don't know. I was
he
not reading
wasn't
good stuff about that.
he wasn't a great starter to begin with. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
I don't know, man. But Sonny Gray would have been a nice addition to that squad. So we'll see what ends up happening. But
yeah.
what's the temperature on Otani? You got any feelers out as to where he's going to be going?
So winter meetings are December 4th through the 7th. And so the rumor is that he's going to start meeting with teams then. His agent did put out this thing it was essentially like, hey, if you leak that we're meeting with your team, that's going to be a huge strike against you guys. So
Oh,
like, yeah. So they are really
wow.
playing this close to the vest. And
Good.
from what I've read too, it seems like this is going to be a pretty long term deal. But and here's the but: it's going to have multiple opt outs.
Hmm.
So if he's in a situation where you're like, boy, this fucking sucks, he's going to have an opt out like a couple of years in.
Good.
So
Good for him. He needs to be protected.
yeah,
So, yeah, I wish him the best of luck with free agency. I'd love to see him on my team, but I know it's probably not going to happen. So, good. Hopefully he ends up in a good place where they can support him, where he's going to be able to benefit not only financially but also from the market, right? Like them
yeah,
being able to market him effectively, and I really hope baseball figures out a way to be able to do that because they need to. He needs to be in commercials. He needs to be doing advertisements for them. Uh, he's the face of baseball, man. Like he's doing
yeah,
stuff that no one's ever done before. You need to market him effectively. So
yeah.
hopefully they're able to do that for him.
Honestly, I can't wait for him to be playing in Fenway next year. So it'll be good times.
Yeah.
Good times. Gotta keep,
Now,
just gotta
what
keep
about
manifesting that, man.
is he going to be there with Yamamoto?
Oh God, if they sign if the Red Sox sign both of those players, check on me immediately because I'll probably had an aneurysm, and that'll probably what will have killed me.
Yeah.
Like, no, but uh, so he's been posted by the Oryx Buffaloes, which means he's free to negotiate with any team he likes.
Hmm.
First stage of it is going to be like a bunch of like Zoom calls with interested teams, and then he's going to arrive in the states right after the winter meetings, and he's going to start taking in-person meetings with teams.
Okay.
And like from uh it's honestly, I think once he starts meeting with teams, like it's gonna be pretty quick. And I think he's gonna get a $200 million contract from somebody.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna get. I bet you he'll get like 6 years, 200 plus million.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's
That's
25. He finished the season with an ERA of 1.8. Like,
yeah,
man,
we haven't
he's
seen
the
one of
best
those in
Japanese
baseball in a
prospect.
while. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
Ooh, man. Well, that's awesome. Anyone else you wanted to touch on in free agency?
No, I mean, I think that somebody's going to play Blake Snell a bunch of money because he just won a Cy Young again. And like somebody's going to overpay for Jordan Montgomery. And that's going to be hilarious as well. And that just reeks. Like, I know I talk about like Otani coming to the Red Sox and like manifesting that, but like a team overpaying for Jordan Montgomery reeks of the Red Sox. God, that reeks of them. And I
Yeah.
don't want that. I don't.
Well, listen, we're gonna have to keep our ear to the ground on that, see what ends up happening, and then we'll come back. We'll be able to jump in and discuss some of that. Um,
Yeah.
all right, well, dude, let's give him the trivia. So we made a mistake, but it's okay because sometimes we do.
Yeah.
Sometimes that ends up
Yeah.
happening. So we ended up skipping over one of the trivia questions last week. So for those of you that tuned in and didn't get it, we'll make sure we give it to you now. That one that we ended up skipping over, it was three teams that had never had the first overall pick in the draft, and that was your Denver Broncos, your Baltimore Ravens, and do you know the last one now?
Houston. Shoot. Wait. Oh god. Seattle Seahawks. Seattle
Yes.
Seahawks. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. All
Sorry.
right.
It's like Houston Texans. It's like no, they had their first year in the league. They had the number one pick. God,
Yeah.
get it
Well,
together, Castro.
yeah. Well, listen, here we're going to give you another chance to redeem yourself. So, Ronald Acuna, he won the Rookie of the Year and the MVP. Uh, there were two other guys who won both in the same season, though. Both played for the American League. That was the hint that you gave. And who are the
Mm-hmm.
two of them?
Yeah. So Fred Lynn in 1975 for the Red Sox. They went to the World Series that year, and that's the infamous Carlton Fisk waving it fair in the 12th in Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ichiro in 2001 with the Mariners, and that's the year that the Mariners won 116 games.
Yeah.
And they did it without Ken Griffey Jr., A Rod, and Randy Johnson because they were all gone from the team at that point.
Was Buhner still on the team at that point?
Yeah,
He was.
yeah,
What? And Edgar
yeah.
Martinez, he was still there too.
It's essentially Ichiro and Edgar Martinez.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, and I think John Olerud played on that team as
Oh my
well, if I
God.
remember
What a
correctly.
what a good player he was, man. That was
Yeah.
awesome. All right, you got another one you want to give him a shot at?
Uh, phew. uh, Give me a second. Give me a second.
All right. Boop 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 boop
Okay.
boop boop boop.
Who is the first player in Major League Baseball to receive a $200+ million contract?
Ooh. Okay. First player
Yeah.
with $200 million. Okay. All right. Make
Yeah.
sure you post your responses below on this video. Let us know what you think, and we promise we will answer it next week for you. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Al?
No, that's it, man. Another good episode. And Willie, I love you like always, man.
I love you too, man. We had definitely a good one. Just wanted to remind you guys one last time. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video. Drop us a comment. If you want to reach us by email, you can always reach us at thepulsewa@gmail.com. And I know some of you have hopped over on Sundays to visit me on my streams on Twitch. Really appreciate that. You could find me at Willie Creeman there or on Twitter for fantasy football advice on at Willie Creeman FF. But Al, love you, brother. Again, really appreciate it and love doing this with you, man.
Yeah, another good one, man. Stay safe, buddy.
You too. Peace.